Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. We'll start with the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos issues 5 royal decrees. His Excellency the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs stresses that based on the royal directives, the Sultanate's diplomatic policy reached 0-point rivalry. The Sultanate wins the German International DVF Photo Cup for youth on both individual and group levels. And Washington says it is ready to support the new Iraqi leader. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in details. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has issued 5 royal decrees. Royal Decree number 38/2014, issuing the Omani Nationality Law. Article 1 enacts by provisions of the attached Omani Nationality Law. Article 2, the Minister of the Interior shall issue the executive regulations and necessary decisions to implement provisions of the attached law, and until it is issued, work continues by previous decisions if there is no related text about it and without contradiction with its provisions. Article 3 cancels all that is referred to in the Omani national law and all that contradicts with its law or its provisions. Article 4, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and shall come into force after 6 months of the date of issue. Royal Decree number 39/2014, issuing amendments on some provisions of insurance companies law. Article 1 enacts by amendments of above-mentioned insurance companies law. Article 2, this decree shall be published in the official gazette. Royal Decree number 40/2014, issuing the system of the National Center for Statistics and Information. Article 1 enacts by the above-mentioned National Center for Statistics and Information Systems. Article 2, the head of the Board of Directors of the Center shall issue necessary decisions and regulations to implement provisions of the attached system, and until it's issued, it shall work by laws and systems of the state's administrative apparatus units, if there is no related text about it and without contradiction with its provisions. Article 3 cancels all that contradicts with this decree and the attached law or its provisions. And Article 4, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and come into force from the date of its issue. Royal Decree number 41/2014, deciding the public benefit status for the project of constructing Barka Nakhal dual carriage road in the governorate of South Al-Batana. Article 1 considers the project of dual carriage roads Barka Nakhal in the attached memorandum and overall site plan as a public benefit project. Article 2 authorizes competent authorities to expropriate through direct implementation of real estate and lands necessary for the project and establishment on it in accordance with the provisions of the Public Benefit Expropriation Law. Article 3, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and shall come into effect from its date of issue. Royal Decree number 42/2014, deciding public benefit status for the project of constructing dual carriage road of Nizwa Bahla, Marfa Daras Jibreen in the governorate of Al-Dakhiliya. Article 1 considers the project of dual carriage road of Marfa Daras Jibreen in the attached memorandum and the overall site plan as a public benefit project. Article 2 authorizes competent authorities to expropriate through direct implementation of real estate and lands necessary for the project and establishment on it in accordance with the provisions of the Public Benefit Expropriation Law. Article 3, this decree shall be published in the official gazette and shall come into effect from its date of issue. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey on his winning the presidential elections. His Excellency Yusuf bin Alawi bin Abdullah, Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, during his appearance on the Salalah Nights program on Oman TV within the scheduled programs during Salalah Tourism Festival, stressed that the Sultanate's policy calls to build friendly relations with all countries of the world, clarifying that the Sultanate reached 0-point rivalry. His Excellency also pointed out that the Sultanate will be an economic mediator under the Ishqabad Agreement, considering that its ports will be a gateway for Asian ports for the import and export of containers. His Excellency, the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs, also said that the Gulf Cooperation Council countries are linked by close ties and there are some disagreements between some GCC countries and Iran, but at the same time, they are linked by diplomatic and commercial relations, stressing the importance of Omani-Iranian relationship since it's aimed to provide stability in the region. The Sultanate achieved German International DVF Photo Cup for youth under the age of 16 and 21. The photography competition is held in Germany every 2 years, and the Sultanate's participation came through the Photography Society of Oman, which is affiliated to Sultan Qaboos Higher Center for Culture and Science. The Sultanate's achievements came on both individual and group levels, where it achieved a bronze medal for youth under the age of 16, in addition to achieving gold and bronze medals for youth under the age of 21. The Sultanate's heritage, civilization and history, besides talents of the Omani photographers, were all elements of this success. And still to come in our news bulletin. The Governorate of Dhofar witnesses an active traffic movement during the Kharif season, where visitors flock to the Governorate to enjoy the climate.
من هنا تبدأ أسطر الحكاية. تقاليدها راسخة كالجبال. أصالتها مضرب مثل في كل مكان. بساطتها ليس لها مثيل. لا حدود لكرمها. حاضرها مشرق متجدد. مهرجان الصلالة السياحي 2014 من 30 من يوليو إلى 6 من سبتمبر.
Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. U.S. President Barack Obama said Iraq had taken a promising step forward in designating a new prime minister, vowing to step up support for a new Iraqi government in a widening conflict that his administration had hoped to avoid. Obama further said,
Good afternoon, everybody. Today, President Massoum named a new prime minister designate, Dr. Haider al-Abadi. Under the Iraqi constitution, this is an important step towards forming a new government that can unite Iraq's different communities. Earlier today, Vice President Biden and I called Dr. Abadi to congratulate him and to urge him to form a new cabinet as quickly as possible. And these have been difficult days in Iraq, a country that's faced so many challenges in its recent history. And I'm sure that there will be difficult days ahead. But just as the United States will remain vigilant against the threat posed to our people by ISIL, we stand ready to partner with Iraq in its fight against these terrorist forces.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said today at a news conference that the United States will consider additional military, economic and political assistance to Iraq once a new inclusive government is formed.
So I thank Australia at this moment, particularly for stepping up, yet again, with their offer of humanitarian assistance in Iraq at this moment of crisis. The new Iraqi leadership has a very difficult challenge. It has to regain the confidence of its citizens by governing inclusively, but also by taking steps to demonstrate their resolve. And we're going to continue to stand with the Iraqi people during this time of transition.
The United Nations named experts to an international commission of inquiry into possible human rights violations and war crimes committed during Israel's military offensive in the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, talks to end a month-long war between Israel and Gaza militants are difficult, as Palestinian delegates said today, while an Israeli official said no progress had been made so far. A 72-hour ceasefire held for a second day. Palestinian negotiators began talks with Egyptian intelligence after a meeting yesterday that lasted 9 hours. The European Union's humanitarian aid chief, Kristalina Georgieva, said today that a Russian humanitarian aid delivery destined for eastern Ukraine, where government forces face a pro-Russian rebellion, must be scrutinized to ensure it does not serve political ends. A Russian convoy carrying food, water and other aid set off today for eastern Ukraine, but Kiev said it would not allow the vehicle to cross onto its territory. Western governments warned Moscow against any attempt to turn the operation into a military intervention by stealth. Georgieva said it is very important that delivery of humanitarian aid anywhere by anyone complies with the principles of neutrality, impartiality and independence, and that international humanitarian organizations are those who help people affected by crisis. Meanwhile, the European Commission said today that it was giving 2.5 million euros in humanitarian aid to provide shelter, food and health care to people displaced by the fighting in eastern Ukraine. The Ministry of Heritage and Culture stressed the importance of preserving the heritage, history and cultural components of Bahla Oasis, which is registered in the World Heritage Organization. It came during the meeting organized by the ministry in the Wilaya to highlight projects of restoration and documentation of the heritage components of the oasis. During the meeting, the ministry's engineer explained more details about the oasis, a part of which will be included in the restoration. Citizens of Masira Island are waiting to use two new ferries, Shanna and Jawharat Masira, which are due to start its operations from Thursday. This was announced by the National Ferries Company after it received recently all technical equipment for both Shanna and Masira ports and examined all technical operations and its conformity with operational standards for both these ferries. The Governorate of Dhofar witnessed an active traffic movement during the Kharif season, where visitors flocked to the Governorate to enjoy the climate. The Royal Oman Police is intensifying its efforts by providing all means of safety and security through monitoring traffic movement. It also increased police patrolling on the roads to organize traffic movement, help visitors and seize those violating the traffic laws. The ROP also is working to receive the complaints of the citizens and the tourists, as well as to keep the Governorate safe in order for the visitors to enjoy the Kharif season at ease. And now for the general weather forecast. Cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the Governorate of Dhofar and nearby mountains with chances of intermittent drizzle. Rest of the Sultanate will have clear to partly cloudy skies with chances of rain over parts of the Hajar Mountains. Winds will be southerly to southwesterly moderate to active along the coast of the Arabian Sea, while it will be southerly to southeasterly light to moderate in the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the coastal areas of the Arabian Sea will be rough with a maximum wave height of 4.5 meters, and along the rest of the coast it will be moderate with a maximum wave height of 2 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos issues 5 royal decrees. His Excellency the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs stresses that based on the royal directives, the Sultanate's diplomatic policy reached a 0-point rivalry. The Sultanate wins the German International DVF Photo Cup for youth on both individual and group levels. And Washington says it is ready to support the new Iraqi leader. With that, we come to an end to tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, good night.